I would like to call the May 14th Strategic Planning Workshop public meeting to order. It is 4:30 p.m. There is a quorum present. Notice of this meeting has been posted in time and manner required by law. Mr. Jones, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Cliff Williams. Present. Scott Carson. Present. Charles Perry. Present. Kyle Hagemeyer. Present. Paulette Traylor. Present. My name is Chad Jones. Our missing member is Ms. Nikita Lagway. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Crystal Cross.
Thank you so much, and good evening. I am excited to be here. I feel like I am part of Willis ISD because I've been at the beginning of the strategic design process and up until work today, and I will be back one more time. So we'll jump right into this, and you'll hear people call me Chris Cross, Dr. Chris Cross, you all, so just so you know, we've worked so closely together that they can definitely give me that nickname. So our agenda for this is to really look at the strategic design process. My understanding is you all have a printout of the framework. Is that correct? Everyone has access to that? Because you will need that because there's going to be some questions. We'll talk through some things and a closing. So engage to learn, you all. This is very important for us that we always share our mission, and it is really about the public schools. So we support public schools. We want our neighborhood schools to be the first choice, and that's why we do what we do. Now, these are norms. I have several of the people that were a part of the design process that may be in this room, and so when they see these norms, they know what it is. These are the norms that we used as we discussed the work, and they determined how they wanted the strategic plan to go based on data and all the pieces. I will tell you there's an opportunity for you all to collaborate. I'm going to ask you to share and do some talking based on what is happening, but just wanted to let you know that we did have norms in place to help us focus and dig into this work. So as you can see, we had a lot of design team members. And I think the important part about this is that even though the design team members were in that room representing their roles and just all the things that they have within their span, that we use data, survey information from the community also. So this design team members, in essence, could be way longer because of the input that was gathered and also shared, but these are the people that help bring it to life. So we started this process in February, so I've been here since then, and now we're in May. And it all started with Engage. This is very, very important to highlight because the Engage piece is about the community. What does the community have to say about learning, the direction of the district? So there was an online survey that was available. And in fact, the online survey was opened up again later because the team said, we want more input. The survey went to everybody, with students, parents, community, all the people. But after we got the first round of the information, it was the design team that said, can we open that survey up again because we want to get some more data, and they increased that information. So the whole point of Engage is the importance of community input. And knowing that, because that's what drives the information that happens in design, create, and even lead. The other part beyond the survey, there was a summit, and you heard from a student panel. I recognize some faces were able to make that, but the student panel, of course, were Willis ISD students that were able to answer some questions that helped then also be able to apply, well, what do we want to do with learning? How do we move forward? How do we get the input from students? And then we also had focus groups. So this was heavy in what is the community saying, how do they feel, and opportunities to share. So from that, the biggest thing to remember is that out of the Engage, the input, everything flowed from there. So with Engage to Learn, we have a design methodology. We know it's all about student learning, student outcomes. And so we want to make sure that that's driven. You can notice on the left-hand side, they include your community. That's also important, please. I won't go through everyone, but as you can see, they're just very important guiding principles to this entire process. We do know the workshop is your opportunity to review what has been created, and then it will be on the board agenda, my understanding, in June, so it gives you some time too. So we know that the most important thing is that everything leads to action. We aren't meeting to just meeting, sitting around dreaming about the district that we want and the outcomes that we want for students, but connecting all the pieces and moving it into action. So here's some pictures. Just so you know, we didn't make anything up, and that there are the community people, and there were so many pictures that were taken. This is just a portion of it. And as you can see, people are working. This process involved a conversation. This process involved them creating items. They did have to listen to each other. Engage to Learn is just here to facilitate the process, to help, okay, how are we using the data? How are we thinking about these pieces? But everything within that plan you have, it doesn't exist anywhere else. It was created for Willis ISD by Willis ISD. Community staff and students were a part of the process, which is something that I want to celebrate that you all did. You all were consistent with having students, a variety of students throughout this entire process. So it wasn't just the adults coming together and saying what they wanted for the students or their children or any of that. It was them alongside with your students. So that was outstanding. So first up, talked about that community engagement piece. This is the combination of the participants based on all the information that was collected. And as you can see, it was very, very important. They wanted the student numbers to increase and just to make sure they had input on that survey information. Again, these questions were about learning and the things that they wanted for themselves. So the questions are helping to determine what do we need to do going forward based on their responses. So there was the community engagement report, and again, you had some general information about it and the people that participated. But I want you to think about what surprises you about the community input. Again, I know some people were able to participate in portions of those, or what does not surprise you about it, and what do you hope you will see in the plan from the community input? So again, they gave us information about what they envision for the learning, and you don't have to answer all of those, but just opening it up. This is the part where I said there'd be some discussion. Is there anyone that would like to start us off on addressing any of those questions that are up there?
I was very happy to see so much engagement from the community, and I was very happy to see the people that came and engaged. There was a lot of time, and that let me know that a lot of times over the years they're here for all of us, and I appreciate that.
Thank you for starting us off. Thank you. Anyone else?
I hope to see this question, what do you hope to see in the plan from the community input? So I hope to see that they're wanting to get involved in things that will lead us to a better student outcomes. So, you know, what we've done in the past, obviously, I've been working best for us, so don't be afraid to change it up. Let's try something new and change our mindset to achieve the outcomes that we want.
That's excellent. I know that there was, throughout this process, people would go back to, okay, we talked about this. How does that align to the data? What did the community say? Or even people would say, do y'all remember during the student panel, the students spoke a lot about this? Or there was a student in here yesterday, or the last time we were together, that's not here today, it's a different student, but remember that part. So to your point, it was just very important to keep that through line, and now the hope is, okay, now that we are resetting or expanding our thinking on some things, how are we living up to this entirely? Any other comments or on any of these questions?
I just think it's great because in the past, you know, community kind of felt like they was again on everything, and this is great. They are big, that's a big deal. That big community because we got the kids. They want to know what's going on with their kids.
Excellent point.
I think the different perspectives from everybody, them bringing that to the table, I think that allows us to really look at everything and make decisions based off of other people's experiences that we're not familiar with.
And thank you for saying that. I will tell you all, regardless of who was in the room when we were with this entire process, egos were not in the room with us. People felt comfortable sharing. It didn't matter that it was a student, that it wasn't like, well, that's a student and we are living in, it was none of that. we would have taken off, if we didn't know who did what, you wouldn't have been able to tell, which was really good. And it was the level of transparency. So although y'all see a beautiful printed plan, there were so many emotions and conversations and grappling with things that maybe, well, we haven't done this in the past, are we really gonna do this? But some very frank conversations, and from a variety of people with experience teaching, students, just various perspectives that were brought into the space. And the other thing that I thought was really good about the process is even for the people that weren't in the room, people would bring up things that they either heard within the community or that they know would be important. So that was embedded very deeply, and the design team members held on to that.
Now, the kids there in the hall, every day in the halls, they know what's going on. They're a big part, because they can help solve a lot of this.
Absolutely.
They put all together, especially right now. It's very crazy things going out there in the world nowadays.
Absolutely.
We all trying to get
I
together.
think the question about what surprises me about the community input looked like we had 782 parents and grandparents, and then we had only 65 other community members. I think it's always frustrating when we're trying to do something like this and hear it that we still have the same 15 to 20 people that are the ones that come and speak. I mean, two of them are here now. I wish that we could have more people that would come in, because I think the more people's ideas that we bring to the table, the better off we can be.
Right.
And everybody has a different, that's the only thing that frustrates me about really all of these processes,
Mhm.
whether it's a bond or this,
Yeah.
is that, you know, people's like, oh, we did this. Well, I personally told you about this, yet you didn't take an hour of your time to go listen. And I think that's the thing that always surprises me is like, you know, I think in this process, we did a great job of trying to invite people, but you know, when people take off of work and spend 3 days focusing on this, man, I'm thankful for that, because those things are hard for me to do. And so I think that's the surprise to me is I always wish we had more, but other side is I'm really thankful for those that did put in their time.
That's good. Thank you for sharing that. All right. We are going to keep going. You have a couple of more times. We'll turn it over for question. So the Willis ISD beliefs, this is a section that you all have in your information. And so these were developed within this design process. The beliefs are very important because we want to determine, the purpose is determining what are our shared beliefs. We often use a term in this process that is we have to come to agreement. Coming to agreement means that design team is saying this is what we can stand behind. We won't leave the room and say I wanted something different or I didn't agree with that. That's the point of being able to talk through the pieces. And so it begins with this because we say we can't begin to design anything else if we don't first calibrate around what are our shared beliefs. So those are the 4 beliefs. And I know you have that printed, and I'm going to go to the next slide, but I want to make sure you have a moment to just read through those 4 big beliefs that the design team felt was important, again, based on the community input and then also their experiences. And then the vision and the mission was already there. We didn't touch that. But what we did at the bottom is the call to action. So once we have these shared beliefs, the question becomes, this is like our charge, our rally, and it's focused on students. We have this belief. Our call to action is something that was, again, created by the design team. They had to come to agreement on it, but it flows out of the data, out of also the beliefs. So the next question is gonna be really, you can focus more so on the call to action and beliefs. If you wanna connect the vision and mission, again, that existed before us, and so it's just, I wanted to be clear on the pieces. But is there anything that resonates with you as you really concentrate on that beliefs or the call to action portion? Of course, the vision and mission is yours, so if you want to share something about that, but what stands out to you?
That we're talking about all students, no matter what.
All means all. That was a very big deal, you all, a big conversation. Anything else resonate with you?
discipline.
Okay.
That's a big deal, I think.
Yes. So I know that discipline, safety, that was something else that was talked about, that was important. So again, if you look at those 4 beliefs or that call to action, you will see some of that information that leads to that or why it was worded or framed that way. Anything else that resonates with you all on either the beliefs or the call to action?
That we have an end goal. We want productive members.
Yes, and you said that with a smile and a head nod. Yes, that's very important. And so again, you all, I just want to continue to reiterate, that wasn't taken from anywhere. That wasn't AI created. That was created with the people in that room. They used things to support it. But imagine all of the people in the design team saying, okay, they started on teams. Teams then were paired with another team to come up with this information, and then we had to all agree on it. And so that's what was crafted from those beliefs in the call to action. Are there any other comments on this question? Okay, so now you will see a part of this work that was created was creating a leader profile and a learner profile. So the leader profile, it is very important when we talk about this, is notice that these are all verbs in there. That means active, action. This helps us to know it doesn't mean you can't be a part of Willis if you don't bring these things to us. Having it as an action means that this is what's important to us. Now, is it a value add if you already have some of these things? Great, but we're gonna make sure we nurture these things, regardless of the leader. So it was interesting because the conversation with the design team is that we don't want people to see the word leader and only think it's the adults. And I even remember a student talking about the students being leaders also. So if you look at this, this is saying these are the skills that we want to make sure that we're nurturing in all our leaders, regardless of the grade level or whether they're adults, but these are the actions that they decided were the very most important. Again, the leader profile, everything funnels out of what were those shared beliefs that we had, what was that call to action, and then there are the learner profiles. Now, you'll notice it's not a duplicate list. Some of them are the same. There was a lot of time that went into the ones that they said they felt needed to be on both. And again, the learner, the design team said, the learner just aren't our students. You know, right now we're in a learning process. And it's also the adults as they go through the professional development. But they really took time to think about, because we could have a ton of words, but what are some key things that we really want to highlight and say that these are the things that we're going to make sure, if we say our learners collaborate, then that means they're going to need some opportunities to do that. Whether I have that as a strength, if I don't have that, I don't know how to collaborate. It's okay. We're going to ensure that we have the tools and systems to support you in that. So this is not about by the time they leave us what they will have. This is about regardless of the grade level, regardless of the space, these are the skills. So what excites you about the learner and leader profiles?
The leaders that are going to empower people in our district and our students or whatever. You know, one big thing I'm big on is morale. If you're empowering these and boosting the morale, whether it be the teachers or the students, I think you're going to have more positive outcomes.
Excellent. Thank you for starting us off.
Clear-cut standard of expectation, so you can have accountability in place for overs or others of that.
Yes, and that came up, that this gives us a level of accountability. We know that it also gives us, these are the things we want to ensure people develop while they're with us. This could also be used, this is the lens as we're hiring people, things that we'll look for to see how they connect to our beliefs, our call to action, our profile skills. And again, we don't kick you out if you don't have it. This just means that we're going to make sure, regardless of where we are, we develop those skills and it's intentional. Anything else?
I just want to echo what or maybe it's not even echo, but that third bullet builds positive relationships. We heard repeatedly over and over again from our students and community members that they wanted relationships. That is the foundation for anything that we're trying to accomplish, whether it's, you know, past bonds or past students, right? I mean, to make sure kids are growing. And so I just really appreciate that. And even to the point of what you talked about is when we're hiring people, you know, I want to hear that when I'm interviewing, I want to hear that relationships matter to them. I want to hear that they appreciate individuality. I want to hear that they are going to take accountability. And so that's what I appreciated that when I look at the leader profile.
And thank you for raising that point, Dr. James, because like it was said earlier about all students, and so the conversation was also around, it doesn't matter that I have some strong relationships, or maybe even one. It's really about connecting it, having more, and making sure no one is missed in any of those things related to the skills. But that build relationships, you all, there was a lot of conversation around it. There were students that spoke up about that and just wanting to make sure. Some of them even talked about, I'm good, but this student is not. And so that was just a very important point for the room.
Were there any students that talked about, you know, engaging with their peers to help them achieve their goals too?
Yeah, I mean, I heard that quite a bit about in fact, to your point, students were taking up for other students and saying, you know, remember the student in the last workshop, you know, we can't forget what that person said, what Lexi said, or what so-and-so said. And yes, it was definitely talked about. And I think that's where that empathize came from, is having empathy for each other. So, yeah.
And I recall also there was a student that came in that was not, because the students couldn't stay with us as much time as the adults did, so students were rotated out of the process. And I remember this student making the point that being very impressed, like with the profile skills, and liked seeing some of those things on there. Because that was the thing about this process, even if there were adults that weren't there for every single part, every single time we come together, we start off with, what did we do last time? And some of the people that had been in the room needed that, because, you know, life happens and it gets busy. So it was great to even hear the students say, this is good. And let me tell you, your students, so proud of them, they spoke up. This was not a situation where they were nervous about the adults in the room, and there's a lot of work that's done in smaller teams, bigger teams, so maybe if somebody didn't talk as much in the full space, they were very comfortable sharing in their teams, but they were very well versed in doing both. And they would stop us if they needed to, and that was acceptable. Anything else about the learner and leader profiles? Okay, now you're gonna see goals and objectives. So, again, everything funnels out of the beliefs, the call to action. You had the learner profile, the leader profile. Then we have to talk about the strategic plan. You have to have goals, right? And so the goals were based on, again, the data and just the strategy we used to get the input of the group. These 5 goals were created by that room, by the design team. And they are pulling in not only the survey data, but there's information like the district data, so a lot of different pieces. So I'll give you a moment to read over those 5 goals, because under the goals is another piece that breaks it down further. Okay, so we have the 5 goals that were created, and then every goal had to be broken down into what we call an objective, because the goal is big, and now we need to know, how are we gonna know that we're hitting that goal? This is a 5-year plan. So that's the big goal. Let's break this down. So those are the objectives. So 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and so on are all objectives that help to ensure that goal 1 is met. And so you'll see that numbering continue for goal 2. You saw the bigger goal at first, and then they broke that down into, these are the pieces that's gonna help us know that we're moving where we need to move, and these pieces are under goal 2. Next, there's goal 3. And again, same pattern. We have this big goal, but let's break it down into some pieces. And this is our instructional effectiveness. And then we had goal 4. You'll notice this has 4. There was not a set number on saying each one had to have this many. It was really about what is it going to take to accomplish this goal? What are the pieces? And then goal 5 had 3. So again, it's not a set number. We're just breaking down that bigger goal and making sure that anything that's listed underneath it will align to achieving that goal. So with that said, and I know you probably still need a moment to review, but when you're ready, which goal or objective are you most looking forward to seeing realized?
I think 1.4, just from the standpoint of the fact that we've got to get behaviors right in the classroom in order to take care of what we need to take care of, and that seems to be one of our biggest struggles is with behavioral issues, and I think that starts it, and good luck.
All right, thank you. And so know that from that, to your point, there's even actions that come out of these. This breaks down even more, but as far as the strategic plan and design, the big picture, this is where it is and the goals and objectives. So thank you for starting us off, and that was discussed with this group, which is why I made it on this list. Anyone else?
I like 2.3 myself, that's one of them. I like a lot of them, but that's one.
Okay.
Like 3.1, collaborate with students to develop individualized pathways and trackers to obtain academic, social, personal, and career goals. I could see something like, when it comes times for kids to pick their classes for next year, rather than just signing up for a class to try it out, maybe they could do some kind of workshop or something before then, so they can get a little taste of what those classes might be like. That would kind of help, they'll make a decision on which pathway they want to go down.
And what you said exactly are some of the conversations that came out in the discussion during that time. Anyone else? A goal or an objective that resonates with you?
I think we're goal 3 just about the enhancing instructional effectiveness. I think that's one thing that we need to definitely focus on the next couple of years is our instruction piece with our curriculum and different things, and I think we're headed in the right direction. But I think that's going to be important for our student outcomes 4 and 5 years down the road.
And thank you for saying that we're headed in the right direction, because I also want y'all to know is that it doesn't mean we throw everything out with a strategic plan, right? We look at, are there some things that are already in place, and as you break down this plan, it helps you to realize where the gaps are in the honesty end. Y'all know what? We just haven't done that yet, or we haven't done it well. So it doesn't always mean we start from scratch. It acknowledges the things that are in place and then building from there. So thank you for saying that. Anyone else?
I just want to say, first of all, I appreciate what I'm hearing, and I know we have a team of people here that I'm writing these down and I know you're probably going to talk about the timeline next, but what I'm hearing, and I'm trying to cross-check on that, like I heard 1.4, 2.3, goal 3 all together. Like we want to hear these things because we also, I'm assuming I want to cross-check on our timeline on those things and where they find, and even specifically talking about when I hear you say, Kyle, about, which we know, academic progress is the main goal for our students. And I hope, I'm assuming you'll talk about this, Crystal, and I hope I'm not beating you to the punch, but, when we look at our timeline, when we developed a timeline, we also knew what is going to be the board next year. Next year, our work is implementing 2 new curriculum, right? And so when we're doing implementation of new curriculum, we have to make sure if that's a priority, you may not see as many of the 3 points the points here in 3.1 in year one, because we knew what would be on the teachers' plates for 3, as far as curriculum and what have you. So I didn't want to go on before I said that, because I'm hearing my board tell me and tell us what is a priority. And I heard 1.4, 2.3, all of 3, and so that's a stamp, guys. You know what I'm saying? That's a stamp for us, John. So
Thank you for saying that. And it's the perfect lead-in to what I'm about to talk about next, but just in case, does anyone else want to share about the goal or objective? Anything else that resonates? All right, you set me up well, thank you. So, the objectives timeline, you all, I want to say this. This is very important for you to understand. This is a 5-year plan. And even though we know that there are things that have to be done, the big goals are broken down into objectives, the group had to timeline which objectives are happening year 1, 25, 26, which objectives are happening year 2, and then for the rest, it was years 3 through 5, because you can come back and look at that timeline. But we needed to know what's happening in year 1 and year 2. The other thing is, the rule was, everything is a priority. Everything in this plan is important, but we have to sequence it. So the time it took to get to this. So based on the total number of objectives, not the goals, so each piece under every single goal, the rule is that for year 1, we ask them to not pick more than 25% of your objectives, which technically would have been 5 objectives. The room felt so strongly that these were the 6 that needed to be on there, and they committed to, yes, we know what Engage recommends, and we let people, this belongs to you, They felt so adamantly that we needed to have these 6, and they talked about things like, okay, y'all, we need to consider what's already in place, what we know is coming up. We also have to consider what's on a teacher's plate. What are all the things that are going to impact this one person or this one department? The other thing is, in year 1, we said you have to have something that's a quick win. You also have to look at that you're not putting too many resources, you're not exhausting the system. So they determined, after all that information, these were the 6 objectives that they wanted in year 1. And so you may have seen one that, oh, I liked 1.2 better than 1.1. This was not a vote where the ones with the most number no, that's not how that went. This was very strategic, and we had to come to agreement. People had to talk about if a team had a different number, why that one. They had to explain, y'all, this is what's in the works. If we do this one, then that means this person is going to have 8 trainings to go to instead of, all those things were considered. So these are the objectives for year 1. For year 2, it's a little bit smaller. But again, it's a 5-year plan. All of them are important. All of them are priorities. You're simply sequencing them. And then for the objectives for year 2, I said it was shorter, but there's some more. Let's continue. Again, the conversation was, we can handle this because we would have done this year 1, which connects in nicely to year 2. Some people made the point as y'all, certain things we can't wait based on where we are and the information we have. Now, the reason why we focus on year 1 and year 2, and we say 3 through 5 is gonna be a bucket. At some point, you'll come back together and look at all of that, because you all know that things change, and so we at least wanna have that strong start of the first couple of years, and that's why this is being proposed for those pieces. And so then you'll see everything else goes into year 3 through 5. So again, we know it's all important, but they had to prioritize. So there are a couple of things, a couple of questions on here. You don't have to answer all of them. I kind of took care of number 1, explaining the 25%, and the group saying, we want to do one more than that. So it's a little over 25%, that's fine. But did you notice any quick wins within the timeline as you looked in it? And then also thinking about the impact. So going back to the point is, we cannot overload people and systems. Any comments on any of these questions?
I won't have a comment about these questions yet, but I'll give a quick comment. Talking about this being a 5-year plan.
Mhm.
We need to make sure that we communicate that with our community, because it seems like here lately, especially with some different results coming out, STAR testing in the past and some others, people are quick to want to judge us on that, but they don't realize that things like this, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not going to happen overnight. So, and I've had to change my own thinking on that before, in the past few years, that hey, things like this, big objectives like this aren't going to change overnight. It's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So we need to make sure we communicate that with our community as well, because they're quick to jump on the bandwagon and they're underperforming, whatever, this reason, that reason. And so just a thought in mind.
And what you're saying came up so many times throughout this process, the importance of how do we communicate this information, how are people gonna know, how do we keep them up to date on what's happening, because that seemed to be, people wanted more communication, clearer communication, but being able to tell your story in a timely manner, in a very real way, so that people have the correct information and not jumping to their own conclusions. So it's good that you're saying that, because I know that was important too.
Something I would add to that, you're so right, Scott. So, for example, last year, your elementary schools, a few of them started doing Haggerty, okay, which is a phonics-based curriculum. We piloted in the district piloted in a few areas last year. This year, we made the decision to implement it in all elementary campuses. And that's really important to note, because those students are really having the science of reading, that very important intentional way of teaching reading. But think about it. We're not going to see the fruits of that labor until 3 years, because that's our kindergarten and first grade and second grade. I know we don't want that and don't want to see, so we also then have to put in other things, going back to the interventions in what are we doing for the kids that we currently have if they weren't taught through the science of reading? How do we go ahead and affect that? So it is so it's kind of like you have to play catch up, but you also have to keep moving forward. So if that makes sense.
Hey, you told us in the interview that you would change it in a year.
That's right.
You told us that.
And not only that, I'd like to ask her, most important,
I think we made some changes in this year.
this is so awesome.
First year's been great. Thank you.
For a lot of reasons, because I love everybody's input. But then, at the end of the day, it's about implementation and enforcing of what you put in. It all sounds all good and fine. We've had a code of conduct around here for years. I'll pull up to the high school and see dress code violations, and it's all just whatever, because I get it. Teachers get wore down. Some enforce it, some don't. And I'm not picking on the high school, I'm just saying in general. So developing that true standard of this is the rules, you either follow them or you don't, is absolutely the most important part of all of this. Accountability has to be in place for you to have any kind of success long term. I mean, it's just my opinion, but that's just what I believe.
No, you're speaking to the exact conversation. It's really uncanny how much of what y'all were saying was said, and also said multiple times within the space in all these days. The piece about the accountability. They were like, okay, y'all, and the thing of, okay, this looks good, but are we really? Yes, all means all. Yes, we have this now. This is going to be a measuring stick. How are we going to hold the mirror up to ourselves and get feedback and make sure we're calibrating and doing these things? Because you can have something printed, it doesn't mean you're doing it. And so that's the piece, is that this is the very beginning of the work. As exciting as it is, as beautiful as it is, people kept saying, is this really going to happen? Are we going to do this? Yes, you are.
You can have the Kool-Aid out there for everybody to drink, doesn't mean everybody's gonna drink it though. So,
Right.
If that does, we gotta, watch what we do, because they're watching us, how can, excuse my French, if we have to prove, how can we tell them something? Good,
I did.
Student outcomes will not change until adult behavior changes. Bam!
That's right. That's right. And I do think it's,
I love it.
and I do think it's awesome. It's kind of neat that two of the things we said, 1.1 and 2.3, that's also some of what they said. So I think that says that a lot of us are seeing things through the same set of eyes, right?
Yes, and y'all had students that helped develop this. So there's a level of accountability, even if they weren't there, just because we want to do what's right for kids. But that's another level of accountability, and I can tell you, yes, there were some seniors, but some were not. Some people will be cornering Dr. James, and maybe some of you all, to say, what happened with? So that's why the communication piece is important, the accountability piece is important, and also how are we coming back to this? How are we keeping this in front of ourselves as we continue this work across the years? Any other comments about any of these questions?
I think just one thing right quick. I did have one of the kids that was an 8th grader that came and participated. He came up to me at the National Junior Honor Society deal and said, thank you for including me. And I told him I had nothing to do with it. But, you know, it meant a lot to him. So we have a kid that's in the 8th grade that's going to be a freshman that I think will show leadership qualities as he gets older because he did have a stake in it. So I think
I know who you're talking about. Does he sound like he'd be a good radio host? Does he have that voice? It's a kid I'm thinking of. I'm like, man, that kid, he's an 8th grader? I'm like, what?
yeah.
Yes, y'all. Your kids, they valued it. Some of them even said it when they were in the room. Thank you for having us here. This was so good. There was one student that tried to rearrange or try to get another day off because it wanted to come back so bad.
I was gonna hit on that.
Yes, and so it was
Working
like,
the system, they know how to do that.
but it was, we can only be out of class so much, but it was that I loved participating. I was heard, I was seen. Can I come back and participate another time? So it was really that part about the input because we are here for our kids, but how many times do we actually include them in the things we do and create, not, you know, once we've done it, but in doing it. So that was a very big deal, and that representation was there, and then even the follow-up. So thank you. Any other comments on this?
Well, you can also have like maybe once a month, twice a month, have 10 kids, 10 community members, whatever you have, just meet every result. Man, just get input, just see how everything's going at school and I think that'll be great.
There you go. Those focus groups, that accountability that continues across the time. Excellent. That's action items. Yeah, you right. You lining up. This is what we were doing. Anything else?
The wheels are turning. Huh?
Absolutely. And we love that. Are there any other questions you have?
No, I'm just excited to see the results of this. So thank y'all for your time doing this. Everybody participated as well. It means a lot.
Oh yes, it means so much what they did. You all, I watched people in that room, they grappled with tough subjects. They accepted the data. No one made excuses or took it personally, even if it was over an area that they were responsible for. It was just listening, receiving. Also, sometimes you can think something was done a certain way or it got out the way it needed to, and it didn't go all the way down. And so they did an excellent job, like digging in, staying present, not going to the emails and all the other stuff that could have pulled them away, but concentrating on this work. So they deserve to be celebrated, absolutely.
Also, it's time to change so much. In fact, in the day, you got stuff in their face that's hard to get into mind to go in the process, and then make bad choices. That's on social media.
Yes.
Really confusing. I feel sorry for the kids out there. Really do. We didn't have it back in the day.
It's a lot.
You pray every day. It's tough. It's really tough.
Thank you for sharing that. Any other questions?
I just wanted to, I know they have their binders here to be able to look at if they wanted to dig in deeper into the community engagement results. So, and then I'm assuming you'll probably share what the next steps are when we come, we have 2 more days, or 1 more day, so yeah.
Yes. So really, are there any other questions before I address some of those pieces? So really, you all, before we get to the thank you, the final thank you, is that the next piece of this, there are pieces that go before the board for approval, and these are the pieces. So beyond the time, what we've been looking at is, okay, some of the actions of it. So if we want our learner profile skills, we have this great call to action that we want for our kids. We want them to be collaborators or empathize, beginning to think about, so what should a learning environment look like? What are the things that we need to consider? So that work has started, and they're continuing to look at those pieces. So now it's getting what some people would consider more into the weeds of the actions. Now, we do know that, again, this has to be board approved, but the thinking and the bigger ideas, you can begin to start wrapping their minds around that while you have everybody coming together. There's another portion on our last date together, May 28th, what we call responsible rollout. Because we know things can be rolled out several different ways, but we want to do that responsibly and think about how's this being communicated and what does that look like and all the things, because a lot of work went into this piece. So it's just bringing the people in, some of the campus leaders and some of the district leaders to begin looking at the nuances of all of that. So again, getting more into the specifics are the next steps for that. And then, of course, the June board meeting. So you all have some time to sit with it a little more and before it comes to vote on the June board meeting. Okay. Anything else? I will tell y'all, I was so excited about the work. I mean, I have enjoyed being out here and just everything that they put into it. I didn't even greet you and the board president. Thank you for opening up the meeting and bringing me up here, but I want to thank you all for your work and time. I know that y'all helped make sure community people and people participated and they knew about the information, and I feel like I've seen faces coming in at some point during the process, so just wanted to, of course, thank the board and then also Dr. James, and just, y'all have a lot to be proud of and even more now as actions will come. Thank you for your time.
Great job, thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Colin, you have a motion to close?
We have no public comment signed up. We just need a motion to adjourn. Mr. Carson.
Make a motion to adjourn the special meeting, special workshop.
We have a motion by Mr. Carson, and a second by Ms. Traylor. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. It is 5:16. We will start our next meeting promptly at 5:30. I would like to call the May 14th board meeting to order. It is 5:30 p.m. There is a quorum present. Notice of this meeting has been posted in time and manner required by law. Mr. Jones, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Cliff Williams. Scott Carson. Present. Charles Perry. Kyle Hagemeyer.
Present.
Ms. Paulette Traylor.
Present.
Our missing members, Ms. Nikita Lagway. My name is Chad Jones. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to turn it over to our superintendent, Dr. Kimberly James.
Thank you so much. At this time, if we could go ahead and have our principal, we have our Pledge of Allegiance from A.R. Turner and Lynn Lucas, so if we could go ahead and have our campuses to come up and represent. Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. James, Board, Ms. DeLosa. It is a pleasure tonight to introduce to you Niles Sugaro, who will be leading us in the pledges, and Harmony Hoagland, who will lead us in the prayer.
It's good to see you, Dr. Hall.
Please stand for the American pledge, right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Face the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us together this evening to serve our schools and our community. We ask for your wisdom and guidance as decisions are made that will affect our students, teachers, and families. Grant us clarity of mind, unity of spirit, and compassion in our hearts. Bless our students with curiosity, safety, and the opportunity to grow and thrive. Watch over our teachers and staff, giving them the strength, patience, and inspiration as they guide and nurture young minds. Help us to work together with respect, understanding, and a shared commitment to the common good. We are grateful for the trust placed in us, and we ask for your continued blessings on our schools, our community, and all those present here tonight. Amen.
Amen.
All right. I also have the pleasure of introducing to you tonight Willis ISD's Elementary Student of the Month, Natalie Solis. So Natalie is a fifth grader at Turner, and she is deserving of recognition for these reasons. This is what our teachers say about her. Natalie is deserving of recognition for so many reasons. She's respectful to everyone, whether they are a student or an adult, whether she agrees or she disagrees, whether they are being respectful or not. That's hard for some adults nowadays. She's responsible for her academic progress and her behavior. She consistently shows the desire to grow and learn from her mistakes, and she takes the time to thank anyone who helps her to do so. That's pretty rare. Natalie sets goals for herself and does what she says she's going to do to reach those goals. She does not give in to peer pressure, but instead maintains high standards for herself at all times. Natalie embodies every character trait that we try to encourage in our students. She's a joy to have in class and a joy to have at Turner.
Scoot this way a little bit so that we can be under the table. Congratulations.
Good evening, Board, President Hagmer, Dr. James, Ms. DeLosa. Thank you all for having us here tonight. I am Kelly Moore, principal from Lynn Lucas, and we are going to announce our Student of the Month. I have had the honor of knowing Sarah Marr since second grade. So because I would cry if I tried to talk about her, I have two other people who are going to speak about the beautiful Sarah, who's now in 8th grade.
So it's my pleasure to share with you a little bit about Sarah. I've had the privilege of knowing her for the past 3 years as her counselor. Throughout this time, I've witnessed her remarkable growth and unwavering dedication to her peers and school community. This year, Sarah stepped up and she spent her MIGA points to be principal of the day. But when I informed her that her application was accepted, she immediately expressed desire not just to be principal of the day, but to help me with career day, because she knew how important that day was going to be, not only for our students, but her genuine desire to contribute to our campus. Sarah's caring nature and commitment to helping others is truly inspiring, and she is always willing to put her hard work in support to those around her. Time and time again, her infectious smile has been exactly what teachers need to brighten any challenging day. It's a pleasure to have her on our campus, and her presence fills me with pride. I'm honored to recognize her for all that she has done and will continue to do as a Wildcat.
It's my first year at Lynn Lucas Middle School as the 8th grade assistant principal, and one of the first students I met was Sarah Marr. Sarah began the year a bit quiet and reserved, but as months have gone by, I've had the joy of watching her blossom into a confident, warm, and driven young leader. Every day, she greets me with the brightest smile and genuine enthusiasm, often sharing the highlights of her day or how proud she is of her own academic growth, and rightfully so. Sarah has worked incredibly hard to improve her grades and test scores, and her determination is truly inspiring. What stands out most about her is not just her work ethic, but her kindness, her spirit, and her ability to lift up those around us. She is, without a doubt, one of the most hardworking and kind-hearted students I have had the pleasure of knowing. We are so proud to recognize Sarah Marr as our campus Student of the Month.
If Mom wants to come up. There she is. All right, scoot a little. Make this a good one. Big smiles. Congratulations.
Good evening, Board. Dr. James, Ms. DeLosa. Thank you for taking time to recognize the nurses within our district that work very hard each day to ensure the health and well-being of our students. I'm honored to work with such an invaluable team of healthcare individuals and appreciate each of them. Our campus nurses go above and beyond in their day-to-day care of our Willis students. In addition to daily medication administration, first aid, and necessary health procedures, nurses are the front line for assessing and treating the whole student, whether it includes medical, emotional, social, and/or other healthcare needs, which may also include emergencies. Willis ISD and the Health Services Department strive to ensure that safety and wellness are a priority. For that reason, I'm honored to be able to recognize each nurse for their daily efforts in promoting these goals. In honor of National School Nurse Day that took place last Wednesday, please join me in applauding them as I call them up for recognition. Lisa Bardwell, A.R. Turner. Sarah Atea, Brabham Middle School. Richard Kreitz, Cannon Elementary. Victoria Malone, C.C. Hardy. Julia Tomlin, Lagway Elementary. Kathy Johnson, Lynn Lucas Middle School. Tara Snow, Meadow Elementary. Kristen Ennis, Roark Early Education. Candace Lottinger, Willis High School. Heather Stranemeyer, District Float Nurse.
Squeeze in. Big smile. Congratulations.
All right. Good evening, Board, Dr. James and Ms. DeLosa. I'm honored to introduce you to this month's Paws of Pride recipients, Laura Varnell and Tyler Faro. As you know, our Paws of Pride recognition highlights team members who embody what it means to be passionate, responsive, innovative, dynamic, and empathetic. Both of these Wildcats exemplify those traits through their outstanding service to our students and our district. Tyler Faro, our adaptive PE teacher and Special Olympics coach, has made a profound difference in the lives of our students. Under his leadership, participation in Special Olympics has doubled. New sports have been added and students are thriving. Tyler's exceptional organization, infectious enthusiasm, and commitment to creating a positive, inclusive environment make him a shining example of what it means to serve with heart and purpose in Willis ISD. Laura Varnell is described by her nominators as a teacher who lays a strong foundation for success, not just academically, but personally. Her passion for education has sparked a love of learning in her students, helping them grow in ways their families never thought possible. Her dedication, care, and commitment shine through daily, and her positive impact will be felt for years to come. Congratulations to both of our honorees, and thank you for the incredible impact you make on our students, our families, and our communities. At this time, I would like to call up anyone from their families or campus families that want to join them for a photo.
Good evening, Board, Dr. James, Ms. DeLosa. Tonight I have the pleasure of introducing our Cats on Patrol recipient, Isabella Fletcher. She's a 4th grade student at Parmley Elementary, and she was nominated by her campus SRO. Isabella spends her recess time researching the field of law enforcement, and she even mirrored her campus SRO for her class project, which she wrote an essay about campus safety and what it takes to be a police officer. Congratulations. Okay, and now I have the pleasure to introduce to you the Montgomery County Assistance League. Their president, Pat, is going to come tell you about a wonderful opportunity we've been given for Meadow Elementary, Lynn Lucas Middle School, and Brabham Middle School. They have donated $3,000 to each school in the form of a literacy grant for books in their library or their classroom libraries. So.
Good evening, my name is Pat Ledden, and I'm President of Assistance League of Montgomery County. We are a philanthropic organization serving the residents of Montgomery County through community programs. We are 200 volunteers that work in our thrift shop. The thrift shop is the engine that gives us the funds to do things like this. Our largest program is Operation School Bell, where we dress economically disadvantaged students, new clothes in all 6 districts in Montgomery County. And then one of our favorite things to do is to provide funds to support literacy in non-Title I schools. And we have the pleasure of giving 3 checks tonight to Willis ISD.
Yes, thank you. Big smile. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Board of Trustees, Dr. James, Ms. DeLosa. This evening, I have the distinct honor of introducing a Brabham Middle School teacher who truly exemplifies excellence in education. She is deeply dedicated to her craft, passionate about her students, and an inspiration and a role model for her colleagues. Over the past year, I have had the pleasure of getting to know her and have come to admire her unwavering commitment, not only to helping others grow, but also to continuously seeking to improve her own professional and personal development. Tonight, I am proud to announce that Ms. Mindy Mottran has been awarded the Crystal Apple Award, a national honor that recognizes exceptional educators who go above and beyond to make a lasting impact in their schools and communities. This year, there were over 500 nominations from across the United States, and only 5 educators were selected to receive this prestigious award. Ms. Mottran is a beacon of excellence and dedication. She truly embodies the spirit of the Crystal Apple Award through her inspiration, leadership, and passion for education. Please join me in congratulating Ms. Mottram on her well-deserved recognition.
Congratulations.
Good evening, Board, President Hagemeyer, Dr. James, and Ms. DeLosa. Today, I have the incredible honor of recognizing our elementary and secondary Cool Cats track and field teams. Over the course of 3 exciting track meets this season, these athletes have poured their hearts into every practice and event. They trained hard, supported each other, and proudly represented Willis ISD under our powerful motto, one team, one purpose, under the direction of their coach, Tyler Farrow. These students did not just compete, they excelled in running, jumping, and throwing events. Their determination and teamwork were on full display, and the results speak for themselves. I'm going to start with our elementary Cool Cats team, who brought home an impressive 11 first-place medals, 4 second-place medals, and 2 third-place medals. And as I introduce them, if everyone will hold their applause so they can hear their names called, and we'll clap all at the end, and then we'll do secondary. So first up, we have Jose Guerrero. He is checked on my list. We have John Sewell. Do we have John? John Sewell. Riley Perez. Tristan Hadnot. Jaden Huggins. Zayd Jabrell. And Croy Cox. And not here tonight, we have Jose Guerrero. Oh no, you are here. Braylee Cooper, Abigail Summerworth, Joseph Leday, and Ashley Nickerson. So these are your elementary Cool Cats track and field team. Y'all can have a seat or find your parents. And now I'm going to introduce our secondary Cool Cats, who earned 10 first place medals, 8 second place medals, and 4 third place medals. First, we have Preston C., Christopher Coker, we have Addison Boyd, Juan Lopez, Elijah Pion, and Blake Connerly. Come on in. It's okay, Addison, it's okay. All right, if y'all will give them a round of applause. Okay.
Can y'all scoot in? Oh, here we go. I see we already got our beautiful smiles on. All right, big smiles. Congratulations. Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Perfect. There we go. That works. Big smile.
Wow, that's awesome.
Perfect.
All right, we will now welcome to the podium Willis High School tennis coach Gary Kemp to kick off our athletics recognitions.
No, I'm like, there were instructions. There he is.
That's okay. Thank you, Board, Dr. James, also Ms. DeLosa. We're here to recognize tennis, and it's the academics. So out of 18 tennis players, varsity tennis players that played in the fall and spring, 14 were academic all-district.
That's outstanding.
So, we're always proud of what they did, not only on the tennis court, but also what they do in the classroom. It's always amazing. We got the best kids. To actually get this, they had to have a 90 or higher in every single one of their classes at the end of the first 9 weeks. So when that report card came out, it was the team tennis season. That's when that's decided. So that's how they got what they did. So I'm going to go ahead and call them out. I'm going to make sure they come through. And I'm going to start with freshmen. I'll work my way up to seniors. So freshman, Lance Cross. Freshman, Star Hendricks. And we'll do all the, we'll clap at the end. We'll have all the kids. There you go, good. And sophomore, Anaya White. Sophomore, Addison Murray. Sophomore, Adele Ford. Sophomore, Abigail Turnbull. Junior, Cheyenne Cole. Junior, Nathaniel Foster. Junior, Jules Steen. Junior, Jada White. Senior, Alexis Pittman. And senior, Cade Ford. And one more thing about Cade Ford that I will add is that he was also academic all-state as a senior. And on top of that, I just found out yesterday, this was, finally came in, that the Texas High School Coaches Association, they also do the first team, second team, third team, and honorable mention for academic all-state against every tennis player in the state of Texas. They base it on GPA, SAT scores, class rank, and he is first team all-state.
Yes. All right, and if y'all want to scoot a little bit. Scoot even more, maybe let's do 2 lines. Some of our shorter. Yeah. Here, scoot in.
Scoot a little bit further.
Yeah, a little bit further. I know, it's like pulling teeth. Big smiles. Congratulations.
Good evening, everyone. Board, Dr. James, Ms. Delosa, please don't get me because thank you for recognizing our Willis track and field athletes on this evening. Some of our athletes from our program earned honors from the district level all the way to the state level. I'm gonna announce my athletes. They'll come across. Please hold your claps until everybody get up there. We'll clap for them as a team. And here are my athletes, all right? I have a couple athletes that's not here. I'm still gonna recognize and say their names, but all my athletes, they'll come across, all right? First up, we have Jocelyn Lira. She got honorable mention, academic all-state. Fernanda Ruiz Franco got second team academic all-state. Tyler Andrade, regional qualifier in pole vault. Warren Henniger, regional qualifier in pole vault. And then I have Kaylee Yulee, regional qualifier and honorable mention in academic all-state. Heath Grant, 800 meter district champion, region 2 800 meter champion, and a 2-time state qualifier.
Big smiles. Congratulations.
All right. Good evening, members of the school board, administrators, and guests. Tonight I have the pleasure of sharing some outstanding news about an incredibly talented group of students who represented Willis ISD at the prestigious Cook Around the World competition in Orlando, Florida. I'm proud to announce that our students didn't just participate, they shined. During session 3 of the competition, this is about 80 schools with 800 students in the whole competition, our team earned best entree and best appetizer, but that's not all. Out of all the teams in the competition, they were the best Asian team across the entire 3-day event. And in a particularly exciting moment, our students were also recognized with a special judges award for the best steak in the entire competition. So we know who we're gonna go to. We need a steak. So please join me in celebrating the hard work, discipline, and passion of our culinary arts team. They have truly cooked up something special and made our entire district proud. These are your championship culinary arts team members. You'll just come across. We'll applaud at the end. Sarah Kelly Banda, Sophia Carnegie, Jace Savalier, Sindri Conway, AJ Edwards, Adrian Gandy, Harley Goins, Robbie Kane, Lillian Shaw, James Lee St. Cuban, Addison Thompson, Caden Turnbull, Tori Van Skyver, and Bryce Walton. Hold on, I'm not done yet. Hold on. I would also like to thank Colonel Vince Jefferson and Mrs. Nicole Utek for their valued assistance on the trip. And of course, none of this is possible without the leadership of the best culinary arts teacher in the nation, Chef Sandy Jefferson. Mrs. Utek doesn't want to be in the picture.
Yes. All right. Big smiles, find your windows.
We get in here. What are you doing over there?
Wait, where is she?
Chef, come on.
That's why I said see your windows. I didn't see her. All right, there we go. Big smiles, dream team. Congratulations.
bit difficult to follow the voice of the Wildcat, okay? But good evening, Board, Dr. James and Ms. DeLosa. I would like to take a moment to recognize this exceptional group of students who've gone above and beyond this year as members of our very first Superintendent Student Advisory Council. These young leaders were selected to represent their peers and provide insight into the student experience here in Willis ISD, and they have exceeded every expectation. Throughout the year, these students have taken time out of their busy academic and extracurricular schedules to meet, ask thoughtful questions, and collaborate on ways to make our district even better. Their leadership, maturity, and willingness to speak up on behalf of their classmates is impressive. Together, they have created and analyzed a student-led survey, diving into real data to better understand the student voice at Willis High School. They have prepared and presented thoughtful suggestions to Mr. King, offering insight-driven recommendations for school improvement. They have participated in a guest session with Dr. Tobin Redwine, the Executive Director of the Montgomery County Fair, who challenged them to reflect deeply and choose 2 guiding words to help define when they're making life choices. They also toured our administration building here, meeting with district level administrators to learn more about what we do as a school district and how those responsibilities and leaderships relate to their positions. In addition to their leadership work, their students focused on service. We designed quotes based on their own thoughts, opinions, and feelings with the goal of encouraging and inspiring their peers. These quotes will soon appear on campuses across the district, serving as daily reminders of motivation and purpose. Our focus has been threefold: district leadership, student leadership, and service. And these students have risen to every challenge with heart and excellence. So please join me in thanking them for their powerful voices for the students of Willis ISD. We're thankful for their participation and are excited for the leadership they will continue to show as we continue this program for years to come. Now you can give them their quotes.
All right, guys. Scoot together right under the Texas. And we're going to get Dr. James down here. All right, big smiles. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
And that'll conclude our recognitions for the evening.
Move on to the public comment portion of our meeting, of which we have no one signed up. Item 5, standing informational and ad hoc reports and items. A, student enrollment report.
All right. Good evening, members of the board, Dr. James and Ms. DeLosa. Advance the slides so we're good to see them. Just shake it. Next. All right. As of May 12th, 2025, on Monday, our district enrollment was 9,358 students. That's an increase of about 370 over this date last year. That includes 198 more students at the secondary level, there we go, and then 172 at the elementary level. You can also see on the next slide the campus and district attendance percentages for the month of April. We had a great month across the district. You can see on the screen when we compare from April of 2024 to April of 2025, 8 of our campuses improved their attendance from this time last year to this year. And in addition to that, just from March of 2025 to April 2025, again, we had 10 last time, another 8 campuses improved their attendance just over that last month. So at this time, I'd like to recognize the winner of our Momentum Maker Attendance Award, Brabham Middle School. Congratulations, Mr. Roberts.
Good evening, Superintendent Dr. James, board members, and Ms. DeLosa. Tonight I will present a brief update on the accountability ratings from the 22-23 school year, which were recently released. Typically, TEA follows a structured annual timeline for releasing A through F accountability ratings for public school districts and campuses. In the spring months, students take the STAR exam. Following the conclusion of testing during the summer, preliminary data, including STAR data, is released to district. TEA then begins calculating accountability ratings based on various indicators such as test performance, graduation rates, and college, career, and military readiness metrics. Typically, by late summer to early fall, TEA releases the official A through F accountability ratings to the public. These ratings provide comprehensive evaluations for school districts and individual campuses, including overall letter grades, domain scores, and distinction designations. In the 22-23 school year, TEA implemented significant updates to the A through F accountability system that sparked considerable debate and legal challenges. Key modifications included a redesigned STAR test, which incorporated automated scoring for written responses, and a substantial increase in the college, career, and military readiness criteria, raising the threshold for an A rating from 60% to 88% of graduates meeting readiness standards. To ensure these new standards fairly reflected student performance or school performance, TEA delayed the release of the ratings to reassess baseline data. In addition, more than 120 districts filed a lawsuit against TEA, arguing that the revised accountability measures were applied retroactively without sufficient notice, potentially leading to unfairly lower ratings. Despite the ongoing legal concerns, TEA recently proceeded with releasing the updated ratings. On April 24th of this year, TEA released the long-awaited A through F accountability ratings for the 22-23 school year following a 2-year delay. The updated ratings revealed a significant statewide decline in performance. Only 78% of rated schools received a passing grade, a notable drop from 93% in 2022. Additionally, 43% of all rated campuses experienced a decline in scores. Willis ISD received a D rating, scoring 67 out of 100 possible points. Amid the controversy surrounding the release of accountability ratings, Willis ISD made the decision to treat these scores as a catalyst for meaningful change. These changes included welcoming a new superintendent committed to transformational school leadership, establishing new district-level leadership and placing new campus leaders at many of our schools, hiring a grant director focused on bringing new programs and funding opportunities to support student success, adopting a new high-quality curriculum aligned with rigorous state standards, developing a comprehensive literacy framework in reading and math grounded in research-based instructional strategies to enhance student learning outcomes, implementing the Effective Schools framework to ensure best practices across all campuses, launching the Texas Instructional Leadership Program to strengthen campus leadership and instructional coaching, applying for the teacher incentive allotment to recruit, retain, and reward highly effective teachers, increasing community engagement to build strong partnerships with families and local organizations, and developing a strategic plan that centers on student achievement and data-driven decision-making. Although the accountability ratings for the 22-23 school year were released, the official release of the 23-24 A through F accountability ratings still remain on hold due to ongoing legal proceedings surrounding the revised grading criteria, the use of AI in scoring written responses, and concerns about the irregular academic growth data from 21-22. Early summary data, however, points to encouraging gains across our district. These include C.C. Hardy, Turner, Metter Elementary increasing accountability ratings by 1 to 2 letter grades, Cannon Elementary increasing their summary scores by 9 points, and Willis High School projected to increase their accountability ratings by 2 letter grades for the 23-24 school year. If you would like additional information on the accountability system, please use the QR code on the left to access the TEA webpage on A through F accountability. If you would like to read in more detail our district letter concerning the 22-23 accountability ratings for Willis ISD, please use the QR code on the right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item C, school start times 2025-2026.
Good evening, President Kyle Hagemeyer, Superintendent Dr. James, School Board. Thank you for allowing me to speak on school start times tonight. Okay, as you can see, we've adjusted school start times about 30 minutes earlier. The high school will start at 7:15 with the elementary 30 minutes later at 7:45 and the junior high at 8:15. Bob has reiterated to us that 30 minutes in between school start times is enough for the buses to get back on campus and to the other campuses to ensure that schools start on time. Some of the key benefits are more efficient bus routes to reduce wait times and improve transportation reliability. High school students will have an 8-period schedule with 46-minute class periods, allowing for flexible academic opportunities. After-school programs align better with parent schedules, supporting families with working parents, and traffic congestion near schools is reduced. Why are we making this change? Willis ISD is committed to creating the best possible learning environment for our students while improving operational efficiency. The proposed changes to school start times are based on research, community feedback, and logistical improvements that will enhance student learning by aligning schedules with developmental needs, improve transportation efficiency, supporting families by creating a structured schedule that benefits parents with children at multiple school levels, and again, of course, reduce congestion. A survey of 2,280 community members showed a majority in favor of adjusting school start times, so this reinforces our shift to align the needs and priorities for Willis ISD families. Are there any questions? We are also adjusting para hours if need be for kids to get dropped off a little early. And also Trent is working with our executive directors and the principals in the nutrition department to allow for our athletes to get their breakfast in the morning for those that have early morning practice, but also to attend a 30 to 45 minute tutorials in the morning. Thank y'all.
And John, we're also going to do a late afternoon program at our elementaries, right?
Yes, ma'am. Early bird and late bird. And it's on.
Can you talk about, I'm so sorry, can you come back to the call and ask a question?
Yeah.
Will you talk about the community involvement? How many people do you have come back on the survey?
2,280, sir.
2,000, okay.
Yes, sir.
And are your campus administrators, leaders of your campuses involved in this decision too?
Yes, they were aware of everything going on in the process. Absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay. And this is, okay, thank you.
Okay, yes, sir.
I'll slow down next time.
You're fast.
Item D, financial reports, bill payments, and bond summary.
Sir, good evening. As we near the end of the school year, I would like to provide a quick summary of the revenues and expenditures for our general fund. If we take a look at our revenue budgets, the positive takeaway is that I do anticipate hitting our budgets for this fiscal year. As you know, I've been watching our local revenue numbers very closely. Through April, we are at 96% collected, and I do believe we will hit 100% by the end of August. So that is some good news as we've been navigating that the past few months. Expenditures are also on track. As we look ahead to the next couple of months, I did receive confirmation from the transportation department that we will receive the buses that we ordered last fall. So it's the remaining portion of that order. So you will see those expenses hit the books here in May or June when we receive those. Another good news, the bond defeasance that the board approved in April has been successfully finalized. So the district has now paid off just over $4 million in debt, saving a significant amount in interest. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
How many buses, we're going to have an auction here pretty soon to get rid of some buses, aren't we?
Yes, sir, I believe so. Bob has those details, but they have identified some buses that are older, considerably older, that are not running anymore, and we are looking to auction those off this summer.
Thank you. Item B, upbeat presentation, long-range plan for Ninth Road Center.
Hi, good evening, Board of Trustees, Dr. James, Ms. DeLosa. Thank you for letting us present this evening. My name is Lauren Yonker, and I'm the planner assigned to this project. And tonight we want to formally present the long-range plan specifically for the ninth grade center school addition for the high school. This is going to be a compliance piece for TEA that the new facility standards as of November 2021 require. Since this is a new project that is after that 2021 date, we do fall into compliance for this. The first piece here is the executive summary. This is just telling us that this project, the ninth grade edition, is qualified for this and what pieces are going to be included within it. The acknowledgement section, everybody that was a part of the process and the visioning sessions through this project, along with the Huckabee team members. And then the campus overview. So let me start by saying none of this should be new information to you. Hopefully you're not seeing this for the first time this evening. This is just pretty much a formal presentation for everything to live in one place with a bow to get to that compliance. So per TEA, we just need to talk about the general purpose of this center, how many students it's going to hold, any special education requirements that we're going to have or programs that we're going to house in this building, any existing buildings that are on the site, and the history of capital improvements. And so you'll see all of that listed there. As we talked about through design, this is going to house 1,200 students, and the enrollment is going to be 1,200 students. Our functional capacity is 958 students, and our hours of operation are here. We may need to adjust it now after John's presentation. Lastly, this is going to be the site plan, and all that TEA wants to see is that we were very thoughtful of how we place this building and the context of other things that are on the site. So we're going to look at the proximity and adjacencies to the other buildings, the drives, and the traffic flow, and make sure that we've crossed all of the things off that needed to be addressed. With that being said, do you have any questions? Okay, the only thing I'd like to add is that the comprehensive or the compliance version for the long-range plan is, it needs to be updated every 5 years. So there's no board action for this this evening. We just need to present it to you, but it will need to be updated every 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Item F, Lone Star Government.
Good evening, President Hegemeyer, board members, Dr. James, Ms. DeLosa, my partner in crime over there. First of all, let me say this. This is pretty outstanding. I travel around the country to different school districts. I've never seen anything like this. So the Level Up magazine about winning culture and the stories in here, you're to be commended for what you're doing to recognize your students and the work that they're doing, and all the coaches and teachers. I just want to let you know, when I see something wonderful like this, I like to say, hey, great job, and I'm going to share it with other people. So congratulations on that. Why am I here tonight? First of all, let me say this. You have a superintendent that is very thoughtful about your time and how much time you spend in meetings and doing the work that you do, so you should be thankful to her as well, because Lone Star Governance sometimes calls for a lot of meetings. And so what we've been working hard on is how do we come to board meetings like this and then give you some assignments that you can do that you don't have to be in meetings to plan about meetings. So that's one of the real reasons that we're here tonight. And so in your strategic planning process, which is pretty outstanding as well, you've heard from a lot of people in the community, 782 parents. You've heard from lots of students and staff. I did hear Mr. Hagemeyer said he wished that other people would attend as well, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But for the main thing that we need to do is we need to get your voice. In order for us to understand what the student outcome goals should look like, we need the board's voice. And I know in our training, we did some samples, but there's new data and stuff that's available, so we need to hear your voice. So we gave you a packet that you have in front of you. And I have spent like several days looking at all your data from many, many years, from at least 5 years, and lots of different components, whether it was MWA map data, whether it was your STAR data, and just other forms of data that we looked at. So what I did in looking at all of your data, I gave you a summary sheet that's on the top. Now, by law, the only data that's out there is 22-23 data, and so I based this on that data. Now, you saw some preliminary data for 23-24 that's gonna show some improvement, but I need your voice on this particular data that I provided for you. You see all the schools that are listed. And then I gave you some categories of student groups that I thought were important. Then I gave you the campus rating, and then I gave you the projected growth map data. So what does that mean? The MWA map data is a beginning of the year score, a middle of the year, and end of year. So what I did was look at the beginning of the year, I looked at the middle of the year, and the end of year for 22-23. I got all the scale scores and the raw data, and every school had a projected growth in several areas. Now, if the schools met the projected growth, I said here that they met. If they did not meet, let me tell you what that means. That there was more than 70% of the opportunities that they had for projected growth in the different academic areas at different grade levels that they did not meet. So there was a preponderance of the evidence of the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of year of the projected growth areas that they did not meet. So that's what that means there. The second set of data is the data that we showed you for the 5 years during the Lone Star governance training and so we put that data back in there as well. And then we gave you a set of data that was given to you, or that you may have seen, that spring 2023 compared to spring 2024, and it gives you all the different categories by student groups. It gives you African American, Hispanic, that data is there as well. And then the last data set that I gave you is for Willis High School. Now, and the reason that I gave you that level of data is because if you look on the last two sheets, it spells out the categories of which you are scored in CCMR. Now, if you look at that data, some of those categories are like 19%, 27%, but that's a great opportunity for you. I call that low-hanging fruit, because I promise you that in Willis ISD, every kid is going to graduate with an industry certification. So, and those pathways, I'm sure, are being built or already in place, so that number is going to increase drastically over time. You're going to have increases in students who takes dual credit courses. So when you look at the data, it may look like, well, we're not doing so well. I promise you, if you even look at the strategic design framework that was here, they have addressed a lot of those in the strategic plan. But the thing that we have to see is what student outcome goals are going to drive this work, right? What are the student outcome goals that's going to drive the strategic plan? That's where we need to hear from you. So by next Wednesday, if we can get your input on the data, what are you seeing from this data? What's jumping out at you? And remember, we have to have 3 goals by House Bill 4. 1 third grade goal in math, 1 in reading, and a CCMR goal. If you send your input to Ms. DeLosa and I, we will compile all that data. And then we're going to get May 30th, or shortly after May 30th, we're going to get the 2025 preliminary STAR data. So we'll take that data with all of your input from this data, and at the next board meeting in June, we will bring you preliminary student outcome goals, goal progress measures, superintendent constraint progress measures, and then you'll give us some input on board constraints. And from there, that will give us more than enough time to be ready to vote on those come July, to be ready to be implemented at the start of the school year 2025-2026. And then the last piece this evening, you're also going to be receiving a survey or set of questions from me based on two-way community engagement that has to be a part of the LSG process. It is already denoted here in Goal 4.2. But then there has to be a community engagement process from the board as a part of the Lone Star Governance Plan, which we will have a community outreach and engagement process for 25-26. You will receive a set of questions from me asking you for your input that will help us put together the community engagement process for Willis ISD for 25-26. And you should receive that by tomorrow. Any questions or comments as to what your expectations are by next Wednesday? And I was glad that it was pointed out that if you want to go find additional information about the scores and data on individual campuses, is to go to texasschools.gov. And when you get on the main sheet, all you got to hit is additional details. And when you go to the next one, click Learn More, and then you will get deeper and deeper into the data either about the district or a particular campus. And if you don't have any, yes, sir?
You don't think we should consider at all what we did in 23, 24? We're gonna go.
You know, yes, sir, but by law, that data is not available. But I think we should, you have that data? I mean, they have that data, and I think you should definitely consider it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You have that. Any data that you have, I think you should consider it. But I can't come here and talk to you about that because by law it's not out, but your district has it.
Like the high school was 69, and then last year was an 80, I believe. I mean, there was a lot of.
Yeah, it's coming, exactly.
Their goals was, yes, okay.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. You have shown some improvement since Dr. James has been here, and I'm sure it's going to continue to get better and better and better. Yes, sir. Any other comments or questions? Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you. Item 6, consent agenda. Is there any item on here that any board member would like to discuss? Mr. Williams.
So on item D, the locker replacement, what is the timeline for getting these in, when they're going to be in place, and when we're expected to be installed and ready to go?
So we did the walk with the vendors to measure last week. There is approximately a 12-week wait on the lockers that were chosen. We are ready to go. We did get 4 responses from vendors when we put it out through the TIPS co-op. So we are waiting to award that after we finalize the evaluation.
So 12 weeks, when does that put it, what's the install?
It will be 12 weeks from the day the PO is issued.
Okay. So we've had this since January, and yet we are waiting till mid-May to do this.
I have not had the information available to me.
You have it?
No, sir.
We need to check emails on that? Because I believe that there's emails
We can absolutely do that,
have
sir.
been stated that we had a vendor selected that was ready to go at the end of January, that we could have had this ready for these kids at the start of the school year.
The vendor that was chosen was not done through a competitive procurement process.
They were a TIPS vendor though, because that we currently do business with.
Which has exceeded our $500,000 allowable through the TIPS contract with that vendor.
So Do we typically do job walks with only one vendor?
We did not do a job walk. This was a measurement, and we sent it out through a TIPS.
You didn't do a job walk the day that I was meeting with?
No, sir, that was a measurement day. I sent all the measurements to all the vendors.
But do we typically only do that with one person?
Measurements, there's not a process established by law on how you do the measurements.
And to clarify on that, Cliff, I mean, it wasn't a job walk. It was simply trying to get the measurements, which had been the struggle all along, to try to get the exact measurements and what we were trying to accomplish there in the lockers. And so they were there with that vendor. They got the measurements to appropriately bid it out. So that's where we were in that.
And she stated that day there was a 20-week lead time.
She checked with a few of her vendors and said that she thinks it could be lowered from 12 to 14 weeks.
Okay. 12 to 14 weeks still doesn't put what we're needing for these kids to start school at the beginning of the year with new lockers. So who's going to be responsible for the theft that goes on? I mean, typically, this is the football locker room. Who's going to be responsible for that? Because we drug our feet on getting this out. Because, do y'all want to take the phone calls from the parents instead of Trent and his coaching staff?
No, I understand the frustration here, sir. I do. At the end of the day, all we were trying to accomplish was to competitively procure this instead of trying to go through one vendor who is a vendor that does multiple different things, as opposed to just running it through them, trying to get a competitive price on it. And to do that, we needed to get the measurements. We needed to get it out to multiple vendors to do that, to do the process a little bit better. So that's the process that we went through, as opposed to just getting one quote that had a limited scope on what it was doing based off of something that frankly happened before it got to our office. And so we were trying to accomplish it as competitive as we could.
Didn't we receive the measurement from the original vendor?
No, sir.
No, there was not enough detailed measurements to begin with. We were sent the quote from them multiple times. It had what they were trying to accomplish, but it did not have the specific measurements and layout of the locker room to be able to accomplish and send it out to other vendors to quote out.
But yet we took their numbers and issued it out on tips.
Well, no.
What they had given us, we put that out on tips. Right or wrong?
We took and went and we took the measurements and the scope of what we were trying to accomplish and put that out to other vendors, not necessarily what that vendor had provided. Because frankly, what that vendor had provided was not enough to put it out on the street. That's why we had to do the walk to get the measurements and the layout. I do realize that the timeline is not what we wanted to. Frankly, if this would have been brought to us a little bit sooner, for us to be able to get the measurements and put it out to multiple vendors, we could have accomplished it a little sooner.
So the process was. I didn't hear what you said.
If it would have been brought to us a little bit sooner in our office, we could have gotten the measurements and gotten the data to put it out on the street a little bit sooner than it was at the end of the day. We understand no process is perfect, and they were just trying to get done what they were just trying to get done. But at the end of the day, we were trying to competitively bid it out.
So 12 to 14 weeks, we put an install that puts it, let's call it mid-August, September. How do we plan on accommodating, how are we going to do that switch out?
So we've already notified, we have not awarded, we have not chosen, but we have notified each vendor that there will be times through the October break, Thanksgiving, and Christmas breaks. They did tell me it would take about a week to install all the sub-varsity locker rooms completely.
So October break, fall break, we still have football going on, so how do we accommodate that?
And we would need to push it to the Thanksgiving break.
So then all those kids, so we're still faced with the same deal where we don't have adequate lockers that have locking mechanisms on them, that we're still dealing with that and everything else.
No.
So,
here's my question, and I don't want to waste any 1 cent from the district. can we ask them to bid it 2 ways? One with a fall 2025 install at our request, and one a price that says that they'll have them in by August the 6th or whatever that date is. Is that something that we can put out there and ask the question?
I've been told, no, I haven't verified this myself, but that we cannot get the lockers before 12 weeks.
Okay.
That is the timeline.
Okay.
We will certainly ask and request and see if there's anything that can be expedited on that end to try to get it done this summer. We will certainly ask that, see if it's possible.
Okay, so what we have on the consent agenda tonight is simply the method for which we're asking these people to pay.
All that we're doing tonight is basically approving us to use a co-op to procure the replacement.
Okay, so will we have to have, once we get this in and we have to award it, will that need to be something that will need to be voted on by the board?
Depending on the dollar amount, yes, but what the original quote came back on and what we're anticipating the quotes to come back on, yes, it will.
Okay, so if we need to have a special board meeting, we'll figure out how to get 4 of us here to get it done as soon as we can.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions regarding the consent agenda? Mr. Williams?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion by Mr. Williams, a second by Ms. Traylor. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. At this time, we will convene into closed session for the purposes of considering matters for which closed sessions are authorized by Title V, Chapter 551, Texas Government Code, Sections .071 through .084. A, discuss teacher resignations and consider approval for teacher appointments, Texas Government Code 551.074. B, consult with attorney by phone pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071. It is 6:42 p.m. The board will now reconvene into open session. It is 8:13 p.m. Are there any motions from closed session? Mr. Williams.
I'll make a motion that we approve the personnel as listed.
We have a motion by Mr. Williams, a second by Ms. Traylor. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Perfect. Motion carries 6-0. At this time, Mr. Utek.
Yes,
Got
sir.
anybody you want to introduce?
Yes, sir. Thank you for letting me talk. I just have one quick announcement I'd like to make. At this time, I'd like to introduce officially to the school district our new Director of Transportation, Michael Haggerty. Mr. Haggerty comes to us from Aldine ISD, where he's recently served as an Assistant Director of Transportation. Prior to that, he worked 20 years in the classroom as both a teacher and a coach. And he also has a master's degree in educational leadership from the University of Houston. So we want to officially welcome Mr. Haggerty to Willis ISD.
Awesome. That's pretty exciting. We're excited for it to be perfect. No bus ever runs late. Yeah, exactly. We were promised that if we switched to school times that everything would be perfect. So, no pressure. Okay, let me get my agenda out. All right. Discuss the possible action items. Item A, discuss, consider approval to adopt method of compliance for Willis High School 9th grade center.
Yes, sir. Bob is unfortunately out tonight. We wish him well, but I would like to introduce Lauren with Huckabee. She's going to discuss the method of compliance for 9th grade center.
Good evening again. Okay, as Garrett mentioned, this is going to be the method of compliance for the 9th grade high school edition, and it falls under the educational adequacy for the TEA facility standards. And basically, what they require us to do that involves board engagement is whether we do or do not need to comply with the rules. As we stated earlier this evening, we know that we do have to comply for this project. You have already adopted the educational specifications. That date is up here, April 12th, 2023. We presented the long-range plan for this project this evening, and for consideration tonight is the method of compliance, and we're hoping to approve the quantitative method. Just a little bit of information in case you're not aware of the two methods. We have the quantitative method and the qualitative method. Those are the two choices that we have. The quantitative method is going to be a building that's used in a traditional sense. So it has typical hours of operation. Like an elementary school, you have one group of students coming in for a school day and going out. An example of a qualitative, a non-traditional type facility would be something similar to maybe a standalone CTE, to where you're busing students in and out. So rather than having a facility that could accommodate 1,500 students, you could potentially have a facility that could accommodate 500 and just have an AM shift, a PM shift, and possibly a nighttime shift, if that makes sense, if that helps at all. With that, we also have to designate a level of flexibility. We have 4 choices, level 1 through 4. Level 1 is going to be the most traditional use of a space, of a classroom, of a facility. Level 4 is going to be the furthest to the extreme. So anything from bringing the classroom as far outside of those 4 walls as possible is going to be level 4, to where, like I said, level 1 is going to be you really don't leave those 4 walls of the classroom. What we're asking for this evening is a level 3, and specifically I'm going to read the rules what a level 3 is. This is just a visual to help break it down a little bit easier, a little more digestible, if you will. So level 3 flexibility is multiple student-teacher presentation spaces, organization spaces that allow proximal outdoor access that's visible from classrooms, flexible and mobile furniture that's easily rearranged, high use of multi-purpose walls, including digital touchscreen and other functionalities, learner-central digital instruction with high levels of access and a range of multiple devices. And going back to the method of compliance, with that level of flexibility, with level 1 and 2, you have a certain requirement of square foot per student, and that at a high school level is going to be 32 square feet per student. Level 3 and 4, the more flexible you are, the more space that you need for those kiddos. And so levels 3 and 4 require 36 square feet per student at a high school level. And from there, we simply are just a formulaic mathematical equation. We know we have 1,200 students at this facility. 1,200 times 36 square feet per student, if we went with level 3, would make us have to have 43,200 square feet for instructional spaces within this facility. At this time, we qualify for both methods, which means level 1 through 4 flexibility, and those spaces that we get to include are core classrooms, collaboration spaces, special classrooms, labs, and like art rooms. With that being said, our recommendation this evening is that the Willis 9th grade high school addition should be designated to comply with the quantitative method of compliance. Are there any questions?
Yes, sir.
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation and approve and designate the Willis ISD 9th grade high school addition for compliance with the quantitative method of compliance as presented.
We have a motion by Mr. Jones, a second by Mr. Carson. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, ma'am. Item B, discuss and consider approval to join multi-district litigation against social media.
Good evening again. With the board's permission, we would like to table that item. There is current legislation right now in the House and the Senate that is addressing some social media aspects, as well as cell phones, things of that nature. We would kind of like to see what the outcome of that is after the session, but we can send you also some more information next week on the litigation as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
C, discuss and consider approval of Strong Foundation implementation plan for Bluebonnet Math.
Good evening, Dr. James, Board of Trustees, Ms. DeLosa. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight about the OER transition plans, just a little bit about the purpose of them and the information that's in the plan, and then ask for your approval of them. Like Dr. James talked about earlier, the implementation of 2 curriculums for next year is a heavy lift. There's lots of parts and pieces to that to consider. So you can see the definition that's on the slide if I change it, of what an OER transition plan is. But basically it's an instrument or a tool that helps us think through all the necessary conditions that we need to think about for successful implementation of those curriculums. There's 2 reasons really that we are writing a transition plan: to implement Bluebonnet Learning and participate in some of the grants that Megan's going to talk to us about a little later. It is a required thing. But the real reason that we're writing them is because it's just good practice. So we not only, in conversation with Dr. James, wrote an implementation plan for Bluebonnet Learning, but we wrote an implementation plan for our SAVIS RLA curriculum too. So I just want to quickly, it's a very lengthy plan. I think you have them in your board books, but just to highlight a few things in them that you should see as part of the planning. So it's 5 actions that we're asked to consider as we're implementing these curriculums. Action 1 is about setting implementation goals. So you'll see many goals in there that we have set so that successful implementation can happen. Some of them are just really common sense kind of goals, like 100% of our teachers are going to implement the curriculum by a certain date. But we also, that's just really not good enough. So we have another goal in there that you'll see that says, you know, by a certain date, we want 85% of our teachers to be able to implement with high confidence, to be really familiar with the materials and to have the support they need, and we need to plan for that to happen. And then you'll see other goals in there about specifically to leadership, more teacher goals, and then some student engagement goals with those curriculums. Action 2, creating the conditions for success. This is a 2-pronged action that you'll see plans in there for. The first part is about ordering and receiving of materials, and not going to speak too much about that other than we have a very, very large number of materials coming our way that have to be planned for. Like, where are they going to arrive? How are we going to inventory it? How are we going to get it out to the campus? So that takes a lot of thought. The second part of Action 2 has to do with professional development. So a professional development plan for the next school year is coming your way, but just some highlights right now, and particularly for the new high-quality instructional materials, we have lots of product previews planned for teachers over the summer. We have product activation training that happens at beginning of year in service, already scheduled with all of the vendors. And then lots of embedded support throughout the school year, okay? We're Bluebonnet Learning support through Region 6 and SAVIS continue to come into our district to provide that ongoing training, do classroom walks, and those kinds of things for implementation. One of the important things to note on this action step, something that Megan's going to talk to you about in just a few minutes, is we did receive a grant particular to summer implementation for Bluebonnet Learning. That she'll talk to you about, and with that grant we are able to provide some incentives or allotments for teachers to come up and be able to participate in the pacing guide part of the work and the professional development this summer. So, you know, really kind of a way to appreciate them for also their work in helping the rollout of our high quality instruction materials. For Action 3, leading internalization of professional learning communities, you know, teacher planning time in the past has always been, how am I going to put this lesson together? Like, how am I going to pull all of these things together and create this lesson? The thing that our high quality instructional materials do is we take that part off their plates. They already have a vetted, tried and true research-based lesson in front of them. So it's shifting that mindset of planning time to just becoming experts at delivering that lesson. And our plan addresses how we support them in that. Like, what do those steps look like in their planning time so that we get you into those materials and we make sure that you're understanding those resources in a way that you're able to go do what you need to do, okay? Action 4, establishing observation and feedback practices. All of our district and campus leadership this year has been participating in the Effective Schools Framework grant along with the Texas instructional leadership piece of observation and feedback. So we've been getting really good at doing observations and what a feedback cycle looks like. Next year, that shift will go to specifically looking at implementation of high quality instructional materials. When you're trying something new, everybody should have an opportunity to reflect over how it's going and then, receive feedback on the things that you're doing really well and the things that we need to do to support that implementation in the classroom. So that is our team, and part of this plan is developing what those walkthroughs look like and what an implementation tool looks like so that we can figure out what that support needs to be as it's ongoing. And then action number 5, aligning assessment strategies. It's just a plan that makes sure that we are prioritizing the assessments that are tied to those high quality instructional materials, and that we're using those and they are calendared and planned right along with our big assessments like STAR, MAP, those kinds of things, okay? So I would be glad to answer any questions you have about those transition plans and ask for your approval of them.
Scott?
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation and approve the Strong Foundations implementation plan for Blue Bonnet Math.
We have a motion and a second by Ms. Traylor. Any further discussion?
All right, thank you very much.
Motion approved, 6-0. And I enjoyed the reading of that page. I did. Y'all see that?
All like 50 pages.
I think it was like 112.
It is good stuff.
So item D, discuss consider approval of Strong Foundation Implementation 2B Grant Award.
Good evening, Board, Dr. James and Ms. DeLosa. I come with exciting news. Our district is getting more funding via grant program. This one I'm going to sit here and explain a little bit because we are going to have to deny a grant award. This is the first time that we've had to do that. This grant specifically is federal money, and the state put the stipulation that these awards, we had to adopt Blue Bonnet. We, as a collective district, did not adopt Blue Bonnet RLA, so we are going to have to deny that award. This grant was applied for prior to us knowing what we were going to adopt, just because of how deadlines were running. So we are going to have to give some of this award amount back to the state, but we are going to be able to accept that $192,000. And we have been given a little bit more information on top of this award amount. With us getting the award, our service center was given $42,000 on behalf of Willis ISD for professional development of Blue Bonnet Math. So the total bill that we were going to have to pay, no matter what, has kind of been cut down $42,000 because of this grant on top of this. So, does anyone have any questions? I know it's unsettling to give money back. So.
Oh, it is what it is. The state's paying us something for this Blue Bonnet, so correct? I mean, already. So.
Mr. Carson.
Move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation to accept the Strong Foundations implementation 2B grant award for K-5 math and deny the awarded funds for K-5 RLA.
We have a motion by Mr. Carson, second by Mr. Williams. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Item E, discuss consider approval to accept Gamma Construction as the general contractor for the Transportation Center.
Good evening. A CSP was advertised on March 27th of this year for our new Willis Transportation Center. We received 14 submissions on April 23rd of 2025. The top evaluated vendor by our evaluation committee was Gamma Construction. The committee determined that Gamma offered the best value for the district with the following fees. Pre-construction $1,000, general conditions 2.9%, construction management 1.4%, for a total of 4.3%. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Ms. Jones.
Yes, sir. I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation to award the contract to Gammon Construction as the general contractor for Willis ISD Transportation Center as presented.
We have a motion by Mr. Jones, a second by Mr. Carson. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, a couple things real quick. What's the start date on that? Do you have any idea?
I believe midway through September of next year. But
Yeah.
I could be, they're in the design phase currently.
Something that's I'm kind of excited about. We've understood how do we have to do what we have to do out there at the high school, with the pond in the back, and the issue we might be having on materials. I'm hopeful that this side will also help them with some of that possible.
I believe it will.
So, okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you.
All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Your first meeting, we just hired you, and now you're getting a new facility.
Man, that don't get no better than
Man,
that.
I'm telling you. It's like, man, you should have hired him years ago. Item F, discuss the approval of revision of UES professional service with Willis 9th grade material testing.
Yes, in our April board meeting, the board approved the UES for the geotechnical services for our 9th grade campus at a cost of $24,800. In that transition time, Carla Castillo, our architect from Huckabee, who is in charge of our design of the 9th grade center, reviewed the proposal testing from UES Professional Services and determined additional testing needed to occur. Adjustments were made, including the geotech fault investigations and maximum axle load adjustments. UES provided us a new quote that included these items, and the cost was increased to $37,500. We are thankful for the team that caught these items and prevented delays down the line.
Mr. Jones.
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation and accept the revised geotechnical contract with UES Professional Service for the 9th grade campus. I agree with you very much on the
We have a motion by Mr. Jones, a second by Coach Perry. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Item G, discuss, consider approval of final payment of Lynn Lucas Fire Sprinkler Project.
Sure. Subbing in for Bob again. In February of 2024, the district contracted with Kim Neal & Associates for the fire sprinkler project at Lynn Lucas Middle School. The project is now in completion, and the district is requesting approval for the final closeout of this project at $2,997,562. This includes the last payment that is due to the vendor with an amount of $148,241.80.
Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir. I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation to approve the final payment of Lynn Lucas Fire Sprinkler Project in the amount of $148,241.80. The total contract amount on this project was $2,997,562.
We have a motion by Mr. Jones, a second by Mr. Carson. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Item H, discuss, consider approval to amend 2024-2025 regular school board meeting schedule.
Yes, sir. Thank you, President Hagemeyer. Due to a conflict of events, I am asking to propose an amendment to the 24-25 school board meeting schedule to reflect that Wednesday, June 11th meeting be changed to Monday, June 9th.
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation and amend the 2024-2025 regular board meeting schedule to change Wednesday, June 11th, 2025 board meeting to Monday, June 9th, 2025.
We have a motion by Ms. Traylor, a second by Mr. Carson. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Item I, discuss, consider approval of HOSA out-of-state travel.
Excellent. Good evening, President Hagemeyer, Dr. James, the Board of Trustees, Ms. DeLosa. Thanks for letting me back clean up again. This is so nice because we get to close out with some celebration of our kids once again. So we are here to ask for approval of HOSA out-of-state travel. We have one young lady, Adelaide Bagwell, who has qualified to compete in the HOSA International Competition in Tennessee. Such an incredible privilege. She has shown unbelievable grit. Her skills are impeccable. She won first place in the clinical laboratory at the HOSA state competition in Round Rock, Tennessee. So she dominated the state of Texas. We're excited to be able to support her in competing at the HOSA International Competition in Tennessee from 6/18 to 6/21, and she'll have two wonderful staff members that are going to join her as her chaperones. So we are asking for approval for that out-of-state travel.
Mr. Carson.
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation and approve the out-of-state trip request for Willis High School's Bradley Bagwell to attend the HOSA competition.
We have a motion by Mr. Carson, a second by Ms. Traylor. All those, any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Board member comments.
You all right?
Okay.
Just want to tell everybody, thank y'all for a great year. We got the last week coming up, and everybody's done a great job. I'm proud of everybody, proud of our district, and I'm looking forward to the coming years. So, y'all have a great summer if we don't see y'all again.
Appreciate it. Expect to see everybody here on the night. Dress casual. No suit, no tie. Got it, Haggerty? Yes, sir. All right, perfect. Superintendent comments?
Absolutely, thank you. It's been a great year.
She's got a list, guys.
I don't have a list. It's been a great year. We are closing out strong. I'm appreciative of all the work everybody's done. I know that we are excited about rolling out a strategic plan. I thank you so much. We have somebody in the audience that have been here the entire time, and so I just know it's going to be a great start for next year. We have a special board meeting on May 30th at 8 a.m. We know that we needed some contracts done, and there's a time limit, so we're going to be taking care of that. Also, June 9th, we'll be having our regular meeting, as we talked about. It will be with a budget workshop starting at 4:30. So hopefully everybody will be present to hear about the budget workshop. All right, thank you very much.
Mr. Williams.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion by Mr. Williams, a second by Mr. Carson. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you and have a good evening.